All right, this is Kaipacha, and this is the weekly Pele report. It's an astrological forecast for the week of September 25th, 2013. The moon is in Gemini, which has to do with the neighborhood, the city, the local reality. It's opposite Sagittarius, which is the country, the wild, and the mountains. So here I am in the city of San Jose doing this Pele report. I did manage to find a beautiful park here with some amazing plant life. So we'll see how this goes. Anyway, some astrology. Yeah. The moon in Gemini today goes into Cancer tomorrow. Thursday, we've got that third quarter square, 4 degrees Cancer. The sun is at 4 degrees of Libra. And Sunday, the moon moves into Leo until Tuesday. Finally, she moves into Virgo. In the meantime, and what we're really going to be talking about today is that Venus comes into an exact square with Mars on Saturday. And, you know, like I said, this was coming on, we're coming into it last week, and it's, full this week, and it's going to continue into next week. This is Venus in Scorpio, squaring Mars in Leo. And if you look at the chart that I'm going to put at the end of this video, and also mail out with my newsletter, if you want to get that newsletter, you can get a PDF of this chart. It's quite amazing because the sun is exactly at the midpoint of the Venus-Mars conjunction, and then the sun goes into a square with Pluto on Tuesday. In fact, if you look very closely, you can see that there's a T-square and actually a grand cross going on with this third quarter square moon. Yes, indeed. Moon Lilith in Cancer, squaring the sun, which is squaring Pluto, which is squaring Uranus. So we have the sun opposite Uranus, squaring the moon Lilith Jupiter, which is opposite Pluto, making this grand square at the same time that Venus is in square to Mars at the 45 semi-square degree angles. So this all adds up to intensity. It's freaking intense around here these days, and it's not just here. By here, I mean planet Earth. Oh my God. All right, so let me find a nice place to sit down here and go into just, a little bit more of what this is all about. Yeah. I think that's it. Oh boy, let's see. So what's going on? Well, we're still reeling from this Venus-Saturn North Node conjunction in Scorpio. The seriousness, the sobriety, the consequences, the intensity of these past couple of weeks is going to continue. And like I say, on Saturday when we have this Mars squaring Venus, it could be seen as a building point, and that square is this tension that wants to be released, and it can be released in a good way, a creative way, a procreative way, or it can be destructive, and it can, demolish, annihilate, induce violent reactions. And what we want to do is understand, this from an astrological perspective. It gives us this opportunity to observe ourselves and where we are in our evolutionary development, in our growth, in the full expression of our yin and yang, masculine and feminine. So let's talk about it. I mean, I'm going to go into a little bit of, where I'm coming from with this. We have evolutionary stages. There are the consensus, 3/4 of the population, the individuated, 20% of the population, the spiritual, 5% of the population. We have many, many incarnations, many, many lifetimes on planet Earth. We go hundreds of lifetimes through just learning to deal with time and space in our bodies. And then another couple hundreds of lifetimes, you know, dealing with, you know, opening up to our creative, internal, personal authority. And then, you know, more lifetimes of, you know, coming into our spiritual awakening. So we want to look at then, of course, there's going to be different manifestations of the astrological aspects according to where we are personally and individually. And you may be reading about or seeing on the television or hearing in the media one expression of the masculine and feminine, one expression of Venus and Mars, and that's more the consensus. That's where, you know, it's where many people are, and we can look at that. If you want to look more at these evolutionary stages, you can download. I did a 2-hour talk on the evolutionary stages. It's on my website, but it deals with, and this consensus deals with, this expression of the masculine and feminine. I think I went into it a little bit before in one of these previous Pele reports. But, you know, it's the basic, raw, physical expression of the masculine is force, power through the physical, this creative. I mean, just think of the masculine and the feminine is like the sperm and the egg. The feminine is the egg, it's the world, it's the planet, it's Gaia, it's got everything in it. It is like this infinite dream, you know, of potential that's kind of sleeping, it's kind of, you know, ethereal, it's not defined, it's not cut and chiseled, it's like diffuse, and it's, yeah, gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful. And the masculine, the sperm, bam, yeah, cracks the egg, you know, cracks the feminine, you know, and and you know, and it's like this sword quality or a beam of light. Okay, this, you know, this point that penetrates into the infinite, into the, you know, into the potential, and through its penetration, through its power, its force, it's not force, it's, you know, it's more, what can we say, you know, the masculine element is this yin, it's this creative energy, it's this light force that is having to do, okay, with push, expansion, the self. It's the point consciousness. We could say that the feminine is periphery and the masculine is the point. And just like the sun in your birth chart, the symbol for the sun is the you know, the periphery with a point consciousness. It brings all of this potential into focus, into like reality, into action, and making things happen in the third dimension, on planet Earth, in real time, coming out of the infinite potential and the dream into manifestation. So the masculine force really gives birth to the, you know, the explosion, or the, yeah, it's like it opens up all the beauty and all the splendor inherent but latent within the feminine. So this is, you know, this is the beauty of that dance of the yin and the yang, and of the interdependence. The feminine, the egg, needs to be cracked, needs to be penetrated, needs to be like opened in order to like descend or ascend out of these, you know, other realms into, yeah, the, you know, the fullness, and then of course to give birth Yeah, the feminine gives birth to something, you know, as a result of this being, yeah, penetrated. And the masculine, to fully realize itself in its creative potential, it has to like awaken or penetrate or move into the dream, and in a way surrender itself, give up its point consciousness of I, me, my sword, my point, my being. I am going to, in a way, it's almost like annihilate myself, sacrifice myself to give birth to the future through the feminine. So it's kind of this thing of, you know, the masculine needs the feminine needs the masculine. We are in a third dimension. Our bodies are in a third dimension. We are in a light, dark, good, bad, right, wrong, plus, minus, yin, yang, masculine, feminine dimension, reality. And that's the dance, that's the play, that's the fun, that's the purpose, the point here. So when these come into square, let's get to what's going on this week. Okay? We have the raw, physical, dull expression of the unawakened, the unliberated, the patriarchal, the old style, the socio-religious, cultural conditioning that's been going on for many, many thousands of years now. And it's kind of disintegrating, it's kind of breaking up, but hey, let's face it, there's still a lot of investment, a lot of people invested in maintaining this system, these teachings, this culture, these religions in place. And so they're still being perpetrated upon us and our children, in our schools, in our, you know, televisions and advertisings and churches and synagogues, wherever. Yeah. And that is, yeah, that this masculine is dominant, that this masculine is, you know, as it acts and it does things out of, what does the masculine do? It orders, it structures, cold, cruel, chop, boom, practical, strategic, logical. I want this much property, I want this much money, I want, this is going to give me more power on the physical plane in this earthly realm. Go for it. Yeah, it's the arrowhead at the tip of the arrow, it's the bullet coming out of the gun. It's the I'm going to use my power, I'm going to use my force to gather more for myself and build my energy. This is, and when that is expressed through Leo, this is Mars in Leo, that lower form, okay, the unawakened masculine can be just really about myself, my energy, look at me, I am big, I am great, I am, you know, the king, the chief, and I'm more like Nero. Let's say that the unawakened masculine in Leo is like Nero. You know, just, you know, slaughtered people, killed people, misuse of power, misuse of that, you know, of position, misuse of money, energy, influence, you know, it's greed, it's self-aggrandizement, it's just all the, you know, all the nasty things that people go, oh, you're Leo. And this is then, of course, would be dominating the woman, dominating the feminine, trying to dominate this Venus and Scorpio. Let's look at Venus and Scorpio. You know, Venus and Scorpio, I talked about her a little bit last week. It's this Anana going down into the gates, through the 7 gates, into the underworld, and tapping into her Kundalini and her power and her force. So this is the powerful feminine that is awakening, if not already awakened, in the, you know, in the slumbering stage, the consensus stage. That feminine, that Venus in Scorpio, is going to use her Kundalini, use her sensuality, use her sexuality yes, to try to manipulate, to try to, manage to deal with this overpowering masculine that is just like, can be somewhat obnoxious. But she can kind of, there's a way that dance, can be enjoyed. I think of the tango, bump, 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 bump. The man is the man and the woman is the woman, but she's in her seductive stage, her seductive way. This is very much Venus in Scorpio. And this can work very well. This square is passion. This is a very passionate, powerful time of us really, it's like the more you move into, yes, that one polarity, the magnetism, just think of a magnet, the north and the south poles put two magnets together. Yeah, when they're really at the pole, they really complement, bring together, want to snap together. So this can really be happening with Mars in Leo, Venus in Scorpio. And what can be the downside of that? Yeah? The downside of that can be when either one of them, yeah? I mean, it's if you really want, I hate to say this, but Venus in Scorpio is going to, the feminine is now in a place of power, of depth, of mastery. Yeah, Scorpio is the eagle, and you know what? That eagle can just dive down and pick apart that Leo. If the masculine is immature, if it has not discovered its true essence within itself, but is relying or codependent upon the feminine to give it its security, its identity. This is just like Scorpio, the Venus in Scorpio is not going to put up with weakness, is not going to put up with insecurity, is not going to be, enthralled or engaged or really turned on by a masculine force that has not fully come into its own truth, its own light, its own, but is rather seeking external applause, money, power. It's like I'm the big shot because and I need big body, big muscles, and big money, bank, and big all this. I need to really be big because inside I'm just this scared little kid that doesn't know what I'm doing or who I am. In that case, ouch. This is like Venus and Scorpio just, exposes, blows apart, humiliates, doesn't put up with, and is absolutely disgusted, yeah, by the masculine. And this can work into situations where it's very hard. It's very difficult, and it can really be. It's all about growth. It's all about consciousness. It's all about awareness, and this can be a time, yeah, when the feminine can really show the masculine what she wants, what she needs, what she's looking for, and the masculine. And this is the tricky part, because, and this is the beautiful, but it's the beautiful part about Mars in Leo. It's like the masculine needs to define itself according to its own terms. So the Venus in Scorpio can be this time where there is a lot of expectations or demands or, put downs. But the true response or the opportunity for the masculine is not to judge itself or view itself too harshly through the eyes of the feminine and try to meet what the feminine's looking for, wanting, try to become that for her so that she loves me, accepts me, or and be that for her, but rather The masculine needs to go to the source, go to the sun, go to the heart, go to the subjective inner awareness of strength. And so there is this pulling apart that can also be happening. Venus is moving away from the sun. We can see that this is all the time. Even the moon square the sun, the moon coming around to Lilith now is again. This is a whole time of each and every one of us, men and women. You know, we are both masculine and feminine. I'm talking, you know, all of us here. It's not just, you know, men and women. But this is all the time with this Lilith, Jupiter, moon coming through Cancer this weekend, of really tapping into our power through our feelings, through our emotions, energy in motion. So I just want to say, this is a weekend of using our passion, using our feeling, using our, you know, our, I don't know, you know, desire, feeling our desire. Our physical bodies and our emotions is going to help us define our true identity. This is part of coming out of spirit into earth bodies. And we use our bodies to teach us. Our bodies have very powerful wisdom, and they help us. Our emotions, our feelings. I don't feel like it now. I don't feel like doing this. I'm feeling this. This is our unique, independent, individual self. That once we've got that, then we can give it. Then we are free. We're not seeking, looking, bending, following, being controlled, being dominated. We are actually, able to just really release our creative potential, our creative capacity. So, that leads me to the mantra for this week. Oh yeah. And it follows a little bit from last week, because now that I have chosen to be just who I am and express myself more fully as a woman or a man, I can give myself completely in love again and again. You can't give what you don't have. You can't really put out what you're not aware of. So this is an opportunity now for us, as we discover ourselves through the bumping up against, this is like, think of the carnival with those bumper cars. As we bump up against each other, we see what we can take, we see who we are, we see what works and what doesn't work, and we can enjoy the game more fully. Yeah. Oh baby. So now that I have chosen to be just who I am and express myself more fully as a woman or a man, I can give myself completely, in love again and again. And I hope you do it again and again this weekend. It's awesome, wonderful, amazing. Use the creative tension of that square to fully come into your self-awakening. Namaste, aloha, have a good time.